I have been playing chess since Pog Champs 1, and in the past almost 2 years, I haven't won a single event. You might be thinking, well, Ludwig, don't you have the video how I became the biggest chess streamer of all time? Yeah, the biggest, not the best. Because every time I compete in an event, whether it's Pog Champs or some Twitch Rivals event or whatever, I lose. I get close, but I lose. I lost to Charlie, I lost to Sardoche, and I've lost to Northern Lion. The list goes on and on and on, but today I have a brilliant story. It's a story of how I became the best chess player on Twitch.tv. Now, this starts with our event, which was a Twitch Rivals teams event. You heard me right. It's kind of weird, but it's a chess teams event, a 2 versus 2 format. Normally, chess is 1 versus 1. You look at a piece, you pick it up, and you move it somewhere, and then your opponent does the same until one person wins. Well, 2v2 works like this. One person is the brain. They pick which piece to move, but not where to move it, just which piece. And then the hand has to decide where to move that piece. You know, for example, you can have someone say rook, and then you have to move the rook. Doesn't matter if there's the most obvious move you can make with another piece. You have to move the piece they tell you to move.
Rook.
Well, what? That's why I was trying not to. Yeah, that's
Oh, no! Wait, no, I fucked up. Oh, it's pawn. That's hand brain. And normally the brain is going to be some super GM, grandmaster, legend of the game. And the hand is a fucking idiot. I'm the hand. Hey, what's up? How's it going? And in this event, I was teaming up with my chess coach, Robert Hess. You guys might have seen him on the channel before. If you haven't, he's one of the sweetest people I know, and also one of the smartest. He's literally a grandmaster of chess, which only like 1,000 people in the world are. Pretty hard to do. I'll keep it real. I haven't been playing a lot of chess recently, so my expectations weren't that high, but they were kind of crushed when I noticed who we had to play against. Our first matchup was against XQC, who I have beaten in the past. Good, but I've beaten him. And Hikaru, the former #2 best chess player in the world. So I wasn't exactly feeling great going into it, but you know, I thought we would start things off and just try our best. The format was a best of 1, 10 minutes, and then you get 5 seconds in additional time for every move you make. And he got to start as the white pieces. Since it was a best of 1, there was a coin flip, and I lost. So I was going to be the dark square pieces, and anytime I see someone play that piece, I do this. It's called a Scandinavian. It's super simple, and I've studied it for many months. They take my piece, then I take with my queen, then they bring out their knight, I bring my queen back. I know every single move I need to do after they take my pawn. But he didn't take my pawn. He moved forward. This isn't even a good move. It's just a move you can make, but I always forget what to do against this.
It's good. It's good. They're already confused. They don't know what they're doing because they only prepared for one other thing. They're already like totally lost. Knight. Even though Ludwig's very good, he's just like as long as he doesn't have like an opening setup. He's
exactly. Ludwig is a bot.
Yeah.
One thing goes wrong and he falls apart.
Yeah. One trick Andy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Luckily, right before this, my coach Hess told me a little secret called C5. The idea is you stop them from going here where they add the defenses, and then what are they meant to do? Honestly, we have a really tight game. You can look through the moves slowly if you'd like, but we played as nicely and as really perfectly as we can for our 1,000 rated minds. We traded off our queens, and then up until this point, the game was completely even. You look at the analysis bar on the left right here, it shows 0. That means neither people have an advantage. But XQC made one move, one mistake that let me win the game. Can you see what it is? Now, I'm up a pawn, and this pawn right now is vulnerable. It can be taken here, or it can be taken here. There's 2 options. One of them is perfectly good, and will make it an even game for one more turn. The other is a huge fucking mistake. And XQC made a huge fucking mistake. He took with the pawn, and if you don't see it yet, basically this rook is stuck. He can't go here because I'll take. He can't go here because I'll take. He can't go back because now his piece is blocking him. So how is he supposed to get out of the situation? It doesn't even matter if I take him. He can't do anything. He just has to sit there and do nothing. I moved my bishop out of the way. I let my rooks into the battle, and I blocked this rook in. And not only did I keep the rook blocked, he also ended up blocking his knight in for a moment.
Ludwig's finding all the good moves. I have to say he's finding a lot of good moves. I guess I should have said rook right away. Maybe he would have played rook b3, but I thought it was too hard of a move for XQC to find.
And so, after a hard-fought battle, I end up beating XQC with a beautiful, I might say, queen, rook, bishop checkmate. Woo! Good game one.
Wow. Wow, Lud, you played like a beast.
Yeah.
Okay. What went wrong?
And that was how I beat X. But remember, I have to be the first place in my group to move on. Number 1, which isn't easy, all right? Because XQC wasn't even the best person, the best opponent I would have to face. No, that title was saved for the Netherlands Minecraft YouTuber known as Fundy. Me and Fundy have a bit of a history. In chess specifically, not like romantically. Our history is that he beat my ass 2 weeks ago.
Keep playing.
There we go.
Wow, there we go. All right, guys.
GG, brother.
Wow.
It really came
Being
down
such
to
a
just
good
like
sport.
the bad trade at some point in the middle game. That really is what made it.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had an extra few minutes, I would say it would have been a little better.
Well, that sucks. Oh man, if only. If only.
Admittedly, they did give him an advantage. They gave him 3 minutes of extra time. I don't know why. I think he slept with one of the judges. I don't know, Fundy, but I'm coming for you. Either way, I knew that I had to beat him if I wanted to move on. The game started with me as the white pieces. I rolled pretty luckily, and normally what I like to do when I play with the white pieces is dominate the center. Because, I don't know, I heard it's good in a chess book once. So, I did the Alapin defense against the Sicilian. Sicilian's the attack he's doing where you play this. The Alapin's where you play this. That way, if you know, he makes a move like this, and then I go here, and then he takes me, and I take this, I still have my center. But you see, the problem is, it doesn't matter how much I prepare, Fundy's just good. And so, every single thing I tried to do to adapt, tried to develop my pieces a bit weird, he also followed up with better adaptations. In fact, going through this entire game after about 20 turns of playing, which is pretty far for a chess game, I was only up 1 pawn, which is an advantage. I did have a slight advantage here, but it's very small. And so I tried to hold on to the lead. And after this queen took my piece right here, I got scared because I lost my 1 pawn advantage. And I thought, I don't know if I can beat Fundy, but there's something else you can do in chess that's not winning or losing. You can fight for the draw. And if you and your opponent make the same repetitive moves 3 whole turns in a row, the match is considered a draw. And that's exactly what I did against Fundy. I forced him to make the same move over and over against his will. And I thought to myself, okay, if I beat the final opponent in this group and he loses to XQC, which could happen, then maybe I'll win. I beat my opponent pretty handedly. He was the lowest skilled player in the group. And Fundy went on to play XQC. And I was watching this match live. And, well, you can see what happens.
Yes, whereas King F8 gets you checkmated immediately.
Right, next move. Oh, wow. Well, you said it.
Oh, gosh.
He fucking choked. Because XQC put his king the exact wrong place. He got checkmated. He was up by so much, and he lost the game. Which means that me and Fundy both beat 2 people and drew against each other. It was a tie. And the way they figured out tiebreakers was through some weird system. It's called cap score. It's basically like a way to judge how well the person played during the games. At the end of all the calculations, Fundy's cap score was 84.1. Mine, 84.3. I beat him by 0.2. If I had made 1 or 2 big mistakes and even still won the games that I had won, I would have lost to him in the tiebreaker, and I would not have moved on to the final bracket. Again, we started with 16 teams. Only 4 people were going to move on to the final bracket, and I was one of them. But this is kind of like when you're the best track star in your school, and then you have to go to the state meet. The other group had One, Saldosh, who won PogChamps 3 and has a rating of about 1,700. For some comparison, my rating's about 1,200. He is 500 rating points higher than me. The other winner of another group was Northern Lion, who has a rating of about 1,600. Not to mention that his entire brain functions at such a high rate that it melted off all of his hair in a freak accident in the 90s. This is true. You can Google it. The final person who made it to the bracket was Hutch, who is an OG Call of Duty YouTuber you might know, but also the reason I got into chess when he started making chess videos like 10 years ago. And I watched his Call of Duty and he uploaded a chess video and I said, yeah, I'll watch it. So I was going up against my sensei. I was going up against my old rival who beat me in PogChamps 3, Saldosh, and I was going up against Northern Lion, a Sage 5 head. How the fuck am I supposed to beat these people? And so it began, my match against Northern Lion. Now, again, I've never beaten Northern Lion before, and I should also add, this isn't the first tournament I've entered. This is the first one you've heard about on YouTube, because the last one went really bad. I did it streaming off of a cell phone at my mom's house in New Hampshire, and the person that beat me and knocked me out of that tournament, Northern Lion and Andrea Botez. That's the exact team that I was going up against right now. It was the rematch. You know, I have a trivia game show that has a $5,000 reward for first place.
I've heard that, yes. I've seen some, actually.
Actually working on invites right now for a future event.
Oh, is this if I throw the match, then I get invited?
You seem to be jumping to conclusions, but, you know, hey, if we have a good match, then, you know, maybe the letter finds its way to your mailbox.
Ah, okay, I understand. Yeah, say no more.
I blackmailed the son of a bitch. We're going to win. Game 1 starts really well because of my coach, Robert Hess. He developed this strategy. He had watched one game. I am not kidding. One game. And noticed that Northern Lion's opening, which is the perk defense, I think it's pronounced something weird like Bercht, whatever, I don't know, had one flaw in it. I can't begin to describe what the flaw is because I'll be real, I'm a dumbass, but I followed everything he told me to do, and he said, don't worry, he's going to make a big mistake, and we're going to win his rook. Did you see that? Let's back up for a moment. You see, apparently somewhere along the way, Northern Lion made a mistake. And part of the mistake is this pawn right here. He has no way to defend this pawn because this bishop is stuck behind the knight, and this knight has moved out, and so there's no way for him to go here and protect it. So it's kind of weak. So when I bring my knight here, I can attack this pawn, and the only piece protecting this pawn is the king. So what does he do? He castles. That makes a lot of sense. Castling not only gets the king out of danger, it also adds the rook as a layer of defense and the king. So if my queen goes up, he can take with the rook, and then if I take with my knight, he can take with his king, and I lose. But he forgot one thing. My queen was also looking at his rook. This entire plan that Robert Hess devised made it so I was up the second best piece in the game. Not only that, we were up 4 minutes on the clock.
This is insane. I mean, I don't think we could have even saved the rook. No, I don't think we could have. Yeah, that was a crazy double attack. Oh my god. Wow. I've never had my Pyrrhic killed this quickly.
The game continued on for a while, but I started to notice something. You see, I was getting really, really nervous. And Northern Lion wasn't. In fact, he started to play well. Like, really well. He ended up forking my bishop in my rook because I made a stupid mistake. He took my bishop, I took back, and my lead, which was originally +5, was down to +2, but I was okay. I still had 3 minutes to his 40 seconds, and I was up one, or not even 2 pawns. But that's when I blundered. I threw away my knight, and now it was a tied game. I'm still up a bit, like 1 minute, but he tied it up from being down a full rook. And because of the stress, my giant lead had instantly vanished. I tried running around for a while, but I ended up losing the game, and after running my king around for a while, I felt really demoralized. I had somehow turned A +5 game in the first 10 moves that my coach came up with into a game losing by 18. That's not very close. Although it's a best of 3, I felt like shit and I went to the bathroom, and Robert Hess took over my stream, and he didn't know this at the time, but I have speakers. I use an audio device, the Shure SM7B, that doesn't pick up anything that blasts from my speakers. I don't really like wearing headphones. It's probably the hair. By the way, I no hair today. I didn't put any product in it. I know it looks a lot different. I know. And so I listened to Hess say this. Oh, I gotta piss.
Go for it, man. That was a tough one. It's all good, though. Mistakes happen. They made one. We made one. So for those of you in Ludwig's chat, I mean, I see you all in my chat. Ludwig's playing great. So I know in particular for people who don't play chess professionally or don't have as big a background in it, they get backseated a lot and they take a lot of flack. So I know that people are going to inevitably backseat, criticize, all that stuff. Come on, that's your streamer. Show some support.
And although I was starting to feel like shit, the words of Hess started rushing through me. And I knew that as long as I trusted in him, I could make it happen. So we started. I was playing in the black side. I went for the classic Dutch defense where you set up this L shape. It doesn't really seem like a good omen, but whatever. I know how it works. I've played this 100 times in my life. Literally every single thing I was doing was basically imprinted into my mind. He put pressure on my pawn, but I led an assault against his king right here. If he takes this pawn, I'm attacking his king because it's defended by my bishop. The only thing blocking the bishop is that exact pawn. So he decides to block me from doing that in hopes of taking my pawn next turn. But I take him before he can do that. And then I bring in the queen in for an extra assault. He brings his queen in to stop my assault. But I don't give a fuck about a queen. I ain't no simp in this bitch. So I trade the queen off. He takes it with my king, and I start plundering my assault. He takes my bishop, I take his back. I could have taken his rook here, but my coach had a bigger strategy. Rather than taking this piece and having an even trade, his knight right now, you might not have noticed, is trapped. So my king slowly comes in to attack it. He tries making an escape, but now the knight's pretty useless at that part of the board. All the meanwhile, I am destroying all of these pawns on the right side of his base until I finally find a pawn fork. Attacking both the rook and the knight. He has to move out of the way. I take that piece. He takes me back. I still take him. And I am up so much material. He tries to fight for a bit, but if I'm up 4 pawns this late in the game, you're not really going to have that good of a chance at beating me. He can take a few pieces here and there, but we just march our way towards the top of the board until he finally resigns because he knows he's not going to get a lucky stalemate. I'm going to win this fucking game. And so I won game 2. It was tied 1-1. And the way it works in chess is you play a tiebreaker. Rather than being 10 minutes, it's actually 5 minutes now, half the time. And you'll notice one thing about Northern Lion's clock. It's low. It was low in both games, actually. He's a very slow, methodical player. I would not call him a speed demon by any sense of the word. But me, I'm reckless. I kind of just make moves, and I don't really like to overthink them too much. So, you know, I just say, fuck it, that'll work. And we start our final game. The winner of this moves on to the finals. The loser is eliminated. And so we started game 2 the same exact way as we started game 1. The Pirkt defense. But unfortunately, Northern Lion is not the type of guy to make the same mistake twice. And he did not make the same mistake at all. In fact, I made an early mistake. You see, I was so nervous I was playing the wrong moves, and I was already down a pawn in the first 10 moves. Things were not looking good, but the one thing I had in my favor was that I was making these bad moves pretty fast. And so I kept on fighting. I managed to gain the pawn lead back, and we fought a bit. After a grueling 4+ minutes of playing and trading down this bloodthirsty game, I was down a pawn, and I was feeling really nervous. He was 3 places away from promoting to a queen. And although I was bringing my king over, he was going to come here and gobble up my pawns. If I go over here and take this piece, then he's going to go down here and march up to a queen. So I had to come up with a strategy, and I thought of the best strategy possible in the position. I sacrificed my bishop. You see, his bishop right now is protecting this piece. And me putting this bishop here is attacking him. So if he leaves, then I'm going to be able to get this piece pretty cleanly. So he took me. which was the biggest mistake he could have made. Because now he can't take my pawn, because if he does, I'm going to get a queen. So he backs up. But you can't take this pawn either, because I'm going to protect it. And so he, with the bishop sacrifice, ended up losing to me in the tiebreaker.
Queen. Dude! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Let's go!
Oh my god.
Dude, your move bishop to offer the bishop trade was ingenious.
Yeah. But, of course, that was only the first game in my final bracket. On the other side, somewhat unsurprisingly, Sardoche won. So my opponent was going to be the exact Frenchman who knocked me out of PogChamps 3. The guy who took away my chances at glory so many months ago.
I mean, that tempo with the rook wasn't even necessary. He delivers it. Wow, what a crazy...
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw that coming, yeah.
And so before the match began, I thought I would wish him good luck.
So you'll play one on white, one on black. Then if we have to play a tie,
You know he's like 1700 now or something?
like you played.
We won't
And,
need a tie break, Divine.
Yeah, never
Okay.
need a tie break. I got
All
you.
right.
I got you.
All right,
in
he's
chess there is
talking
no-
shit. Okay, hello?
Thank you very much.
Sardoche, I come into your chat
Your
to
competitor's
say,
here?
I come to say bon courage, and I see that he's saying, oh, we will need a tiebreaker, oh, Divine, it will be over on the instant. That hurt. He said he won't need a tiebreaker because he's going to beat me so quickly. And you know what? Honestly, he was probably right. Sardoche is 1700 rated. I'm 1200 rated. I'm an idiot who laughs at farting monkeys on the internet. He is a former professional League of Legends player. He's like a pro Rocket League player. He's a damn near pro chess player at this point. He's a god gamer. I have no right beating this guy. I had no right beating Northern Lion. The only thing that I could do, well, was try my best and trust in my coach Hess that, we would do our best. I started on the black squares and he started on the white squares, and it was a normal Scandinavian game. And since Sardoche is well practiced, I thought he would know this very well. But he made a pretty big mistake early on. Bishop can't move anywhere except right here, and then what is it looking at? So we were feeling pretty good at this point. We thought, or at least I thought, we were going to do well. And then we fucked up. You see, this entire time we've made mistakes, we've made blunders, but all of those mistakes were usually my fault. I had missed something somewhere, and Hess wanted me to do another idea, and I just didn't see it, because we're not allowed to communicate ideas. He can only tell me one word, and it's the piece of move. But right here, he told me the piece of move, and this is what he wanted me to do. But this is a mistake, because if he takes me with the knight, well then my queen is pinned. If this knight moves, then it'll be attacking my queen. So I can take it right here, but then he can pin my knight to my queen. You see, if I move this knight anywhere, then he can take my queen. And so he told me to move the bishop, and we were already starting this game off down a pawn. And honestly, I kind of felt like we were going to lose this game until Hess said rook. In this exact spot right here, he told me to move my rook.
Rook.
You're actually throwing. If you didn't want to hang out with me, you could have just said so. Our rook? Deadass! Our rook! Our rookathan! This exact play was to fool Sardoche into falling for our trap. If he takes the rook that's checking the king, then he loses his queen. But that's not what happened. He just kind of moved his king over here. So I brought my queen down here for another check, which might seem like we're just kind of wasting time. But what's actually happening is we are pushing the king and we are pushing his pawns forward. The king is no longer on this back rank, which means, you know, maybe my knight could come here and check him. My bishop right now attacks this point. We're a lot closer to attacking him than we were before. And so when I kicked this queen out by moving my pawn up and then brought my queen back, Sardoche missed the one thing that he should have recognized. I was setting up a battery. A battery is when you have a piece defended by another piece in a row together. They're basically like, it's like throwing an extra gun on a Gundam arm. You know, it's like basically getting the Darth Maul lightsaber instead of a regular lightsaber. Both sides is usually better. And when the queen came in, there was nothing to protect the king anymore. There was only one spot for him to actually go to. And that spot was going to lead to checkmate on the very next turn.
The rook. Dude, let's go!
Let's go! I was losing that entire game. If you look at the analysis board, this chart right here shows you the amount of white space is how much Saldosh was winning at any point. And you can see the absolute fall to the farthest possible depths of hell. I played worse than him that entire game, but I couldn't get too cocky yet. It was a best of 3, so I would need to win one more game to win the entire event. Game 2 started, and I was going to be the white pieces. And it actually started very similar to another opponent we had, with the Alapin defense. I have played this opening 100 times, and I literally forgot what to do. You're supposed to move your pawn up, and then the knight has to go somewhere here or here into the middle of the battle, and then it's easier to kill the knight. But I didn't do that. I made a weird move, and then I made another mistake. And according to the computers, I was just screwing myself over. But the thing about it is I knew he was nervous too, because I knew he wouldn't want to lose to somebody like me. Somebody like me who's a fucking goofball, a dumbass, a man who's made a career from memes and farts. How is he supposed to be the guy who wins a chess game? So I relaxed, I took a deep breath, and I just played my game. And although right now this looks like kind of a bad position, well, the answer is it kind of is. I have 2 ugly stacked pawn lines. My pawns can't even move past each other. And he has a beautiful array of pawns. But I have one thing going in my favor. My bishop is a free man. His bishop is trapped behind his own pieces. It doesn't matter where he goes, he really has no opportunity to attack. And so when he made this move right here, it was over. Because this move, although might seem good on hindsight, made one piece vulnerable, his rook. And I noticed that immediately. So I brought my rook out over, not to attack and trade, but to protect my bishop to attack his rook. And then he made his second mistake, moving his pawn forward, which allowed my bishop to attack both pieces at the same time.
He can make him play this very easily. Bishop. And bishop c6 was just played.
Look at that. And we see Ludwig dancing in the corner. What a great move. It hits the rook, it hits the pawn. And ladies and gentlemen, I think you're looking at the team that's going to go on to win your Twitch rivals today.
And then he gave me my dream. What every terrible chess player like myself loves doing, trading pieces. Simplifying. Getting rid of all the complicated mess that chess has and just making it so it's only a few pawns and one dastardly king. He tried to fight and find some sort of victory, but with this few pieces on the board, there was no way to win. And he resigned. On move 32, making me and Robert Hess the hand-brain chess champions. Not only did I beat Saldosh, well, I didn't even need to go to tiebreaker. It was honestly so easy. And that's it. That's how I became the best chess player on Twitch, at least for just a day, and admittedly, with the help of Robert Hess. Check him out, and if you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace!